This has been a very hard but fun thing to do. And I think the preponderance, I think you have to do what I did. You have to record every moment of every flight over a period of years if you're looking to substantiate something of this magnitude and importance. I took what Professor Weinberg of Simon Fraser University said very seriously. If you really want to do this, duplicate it. Get it in every lighting condition. Get it under every circumstance. Get it in every circumstance you can. And the one that made me happiest, funny enough, was almost the last flights I recorded, because I got it in black and white. There was a CCD camera put on one of the flights, and I thought that's the charge coupling device, which is an electronic way, rather than the old tubes, these big tubes that are slower on their scans. So as soon as the faster scanning and tube CCD was on the black and white, I challenged myself again. You should be able to find them, and I did. So I've got them in black and white, but I've got them under, and I know which camera. I now know where to look for them. I know what events. When in STS 80, when the door wouldn't open, you know, they had the spacewalk scheduled, and the door wouldn't open. I remember watching that and seeing all of this third phenomena, the second space phenomena, but the third phenomena, all around the door. And they were moving the door and trying to get it open. And I'd never seen this phenomena do that before. And then a flight or two later, the astronauts were commenting right on the feed that there was something had come through the door. They were seeing these flashing colored lights.
What was that flash? The light flashing off of HST, okay? I thought it was me. What? I just thought it was my imagination. Yeah, I saw it too, so it's not. There was two of them. There's another one. What are they? What are sort of lights flickering in here? Maybe they're taking pictures. What is this? Is this thing passing in front of us? What are the lights? Which one? Oh, no, I was guessing that one for a second, but I had that one the whole time. Yeah, I was looking at that one too.
The spherical phenomena we've documented and is very solid. Isn't the type that would go in there, float around, and them say it's going really fast, we can't see it, and it's all these popping colored lights. That was the first time I got some kind of a feel that the astronauts have seen from phenomena 3, the second space phenomena. It's something that should be this challenging. I don't know why most people think something this different is just going to be nuts and bolts, 30 feet across, nice big friendly gray aliens come out, recognize themselves in all the ads that have been appearing in car companies, turn on the TV and watch the new Roswell series, visit the X-Files. You know what I'm saying is that this phenomena is not what I expected to find, this third phenomena. But they seem, I believe they use the same operating principle, because some of the spherical second phenomena, which I still emphasize is our main documentation, can move away at rapid speeds, as the video shows you.
Do you believe the two phenomena are connected?
Yes, somehow. I think well, they're very aware of each other. Somebody suggested to me, what if they're the same phenomena? But I've studied them extensively, and the spherical phenomena has different characteristics to it. Kind of let's just put it at that, leave it at that. They're not in color. This is a totally different phenomena. This one never goes at real speed. It's as if something comes up to your nose and in 1/30th of a second has a tour, like an iceberg or something, or you know, a glacier, and then leaves
without us even
aware of it. And if it chooses, for whatever reason, to look at something, it tends to slow down. And that's why I believe it appears when there's a $100 million satellite disrupting the air. It appears when the Hubble Space Telescope is being repaired. It appears whenever something is happening. It's an amazing phenomena, and what I like about it is these aren't ice crystals. There's nobody in science in Canada that I've ever met, and David Sarita, my partner in terms of the research end, not a partner, and let's just say he's as interested as I am, and he volunteered to take on that role. Nobody said to him that what this is. Nobody suggested anything except that it must be what it is, but they don't know where to go with it. They don't know what to do with it. They don't know how to react. It's easier if you can sort of argue that may or may not be something. But once you just look, Hubble Space Telescope mission was 36, I seem to recall, 36 tapes with 8 hours per tape. So these are, you know, you just had to keep going. Some flights are 5 days, some are 11 days, 14. The Hubble Space Telescope mission, I chose that mission not because I knew about a CCD camera or anything. I chose it because NASA had decided to make this the showcase mission. It is a very important mission. The Hubble Space Telescope is the very most delicate and important thing, and these gentlemen were going to spacewalk for 7 days and fix it. So it was even interesting for me to just watch them work in this environment. And from the very first moment, the first download came, I found our spherical phenomena.
Did you set out to try and find the phenomena, or did it start off as a sort of self-education exercise in watching the mission footage?
It was everything. It was a self-education thing. It was a curiosity of why no one from the year 1991 till 1994 had bothered to look at any other footage. And I was quite naive and wasn't aware it was all being downloaded because I'd bought into the popular culture or the urban myth that they were scrambling at it and it wasn't available since '48. I've been an editor for 25 years as well as everything else. And I spend an awful lot of my day looking at videotape at amazingly fast speeds, reviewing people's programs for critique reasons and things. Sure. My eyes are trained, and I kept seeing something. So when I started breaking the frames down, I found you still couldn't find it. You'd go from this frame to this frame, and there'd be a quick movement. So then I had to get a videotape recorder, an SVH machine, an older model, funny enough, not the digital model, that literally, when you rolled the thing, it would break the frames into fields. And in reality, there are 60 individual pictures that make up 1 second of video. And that's when I found them.
So you were finding these on one of those 60 frames?
I found, in fact, the first one I found, I only found one.
Right.
And then I thought, well, I should be able to, if this is real, I should be able to do it again. And then I found 2. And it just went from there.
What should we really be seeing? How did you know that we were looking at something that shouldn't be there, that was unusual? I mean...
Well, the first thing is that in my career, usually in 1 second of video, no movement happens. You can look at 60 frames and, you know, the way the movement goes, not very much happens. It's not like those flip things where the little thing moves when you flip the pages. Literally in 60 of those, nothing happens. Something was happening literally between 1/30th of a second and 1/30th of a second, because there's 30 frames per second. So it was just sort of a, let's look at this. And when I found it was in a scan field, and then the way it works is it scans and scans very fast. But the phenomena seemed to have disappeared by the second scan.
So it was moving very fast.
Very fast. So being a manager and being in charge of a television station, part of my staff is a technical staff. So I started consulting our technicians on to destroy my discovery. I wanted them to tell me that they could
You wanted
be
to
hoaxed.
critique it as heavily as you could.
I wanted them to tell me this somebody could fake this. You can't. Then I took the sample, to make a long story short, eventually made it up to the scientific community and to a think tank and a behavioral lab and physicists and astrophysicists. And they kind of, you know, just they just humored me at the start. By the end of our meetings, they had their hands on the control. They were running up to the screen, and they were holding meetings. They broke the entire pixelization process down and found it was still there.
So they really didn't expect to see anything in the beginning, but by the time you finished, they were excited.
I think they expected probably that we'd have more of a real-time phenomena, which is still spectacular.
And probably, I guess, that they felt they might be able to explain to you as something perfectly legitimate or normal for...
Well, you never know who's in the Skeptic Society of British Columbia. For instance, the X-Files actor William Davis, who is the cigarette-smoking man in the X-Files, is a member of the Skeptic Society. So I never knew with these scientists what they were trying to do to me.
Sure.
But the amazing thing about this other phenomena, the one that's virtually, I would say it's invisible, although it isn't once you see it. You begin to see it all the time. Is it blew their minds. It blew their minds.
Did they offer any explanation for what they thought it might be? Or are they as baffled?
There's a professor at Simon Fraser, Professor Weinberg, who literally said it had to be it had to be actually there, doing exactly what it was, but he could not. He said we would have to go right to NASA, and eventually we had a lecture at the planetarium here in Vancouver by one of the Hubble poobahs, the chief Hubble designers, engineers.
That must have been a great opportunity.
It was a great opportunity, and what was interesting is when we showed him the spherical shapes on video clips, on video stills, he was comfortable, which meant, he could throw the ice crystal theory, because it was a very small sample at that point. It was only the first time I'd ever done it.
At that point, he confirmed that what you were showing him were ice crystals, or...?
No, he just thought that was basically...
He accepted that it was a phenomena of some sort.
He just... Well, they're comfortable at NASA because James Oberg, who's the NASA debunker, in my estimation, had basically briefed them all that don't worry about all this stuff you see, because that's just all kinds of stuff you don't understand about ice crystals. So he didn't have any, it was the Hubble fellow at the planetarium after the lecture with the head of the planetarium. He sat there comfortable, but when the still frames of this second phenomena were shown to him, he stormed out of the room.
Did he say anything? Did he give any reason?
He made some huffs and puffs and stormed out of the room. Now, we found, that's very unusual kind of reversal. And we obtained, meaning an artist friend and I, who's got more guts than me, I guess, in terms of walking through front doors, which you're not supposed to. He picked up the phone after he got the number and phoned this fellow. And he got hello, and the second he said who he was, there was back talk, things like, it's that guy, blah, 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 and the phone went down. In other words, communication was cut off. Not
a very good public relations exercise for the...
No, but we found it odd that, these are okay and these aren't. So anyway, that's how it started. So Professor Weinberg, who's a wonderful man, said to me something he's never said to anybody before. He actually sat down, sort of rolled his hands through his head and whatever hair he had, and said, you know, I believe there are things out there, and it's just a matter of an et cetera, et cetera. Well, my friend, my partner, could not believe he, gentleman, has worked through the Canadian Space Agency with him. This Professor Weinberg studies the effects of space travel on the brain.
Right.
And shapes, and whether they, you know, why they come home depressed. Elizabeth Bondar, our famous first woman in space, it isn't generally known in Canada, but she was depressed, massive depression for the first 2 weeks after she landed. And so they really had to study what's going on.
Sure.
And they found that they were missing, that there was the familiar shapes that we see every day not in the space program. And that's what these people were doing, working with the Canadian Space Agency to suggest putting shapes in parts of the shuttle or redesigning things to familiarity for your subconscious.
Right.
It says they talk to orca whales up there, and they photograph the brain and put pictures in front of you, and then colors flash and they photograph it. It's the only place at the university you can get a parking spot because no one knows it's there. I didn't know when I went there. So, and he told me things. He said, get another flight, duplicate the phenomena that you've got, duplicate what you did, try to get the two different colors, try to get multiple ones in a shot, because the STS-61, I was quite naive, especially this second thing. And so I remembered that, and I recorded the next shuttle, and I knew what I was looking for, and I found it.
You mentioned something to me earlier about the lighting conditions and the fact that you felt they were self-illuminating. Well,
I needed, yes, at first I actually thought, you know, I was my own worst skeptic. I've learned that in television. You know, you don't present anything unless you're totally researched and sure. But I began to discover that these were appearing in dark, when the camera, you know, when the sun went down, when the sun came up, when there was refraction, when there wasn't refraction. I found them under every lighting condition, and my only conclusion from looking at the video and continually looking at it is obviously they're self-illuminating.
Did they change at all under those different lighting conditions when apertures change, or the sun goes down, or the craft's in a different position? Do they appear to be any different?
No, in fact they appear to differ just from every time you capture them. Sometimes you capture them when they seem to have slowed down and you see more of a craft structure. When they're moving very quickly, you'll see this long streak. Right. But the interesting thing is, after after 1,000 of them, and I still photographed them, you lay them side by side and you start to see common things. You start to see markings. You start to see kind of shape. You know, it's not...
So you've almost been able to classify them in a way.
Well, actually, I've been calling them the second phenomena, but the way I see this is everything to date that has been shot by humans from here, from the ground, I call one. That's one. The space phenomena, the spheres, outer space, that's shot from NASA's cameras is two, and I thought it would stop at two. But this phenomena I call number three. There are two space phenomena. And this third phenomena, I don't blame people for not discovering it or anything. I don't think anybody has tried not to discover it.
Well, it sounds to me like you had to go through a lot of work.
I just wonder how many people with my technical television background have tried this. And I don't think a lot of scientists have. I just know that Professor Weinberg was absolutely knocked out of his... He just couldn't believe it. And as I built the sample up, I didn't believe it more. I couldn't believe. I mean, it's reached the point. But I don't want to take anything away from the spherical phenomena. The second phenomena, to me, is absolutely unimpeachable in a preponderant sense. You know, I was quite satisfied with finding phenomena two, the first space phenomena.
Sure.
And I still am. But this third phenomena is so against all of what we expect it to be that it's intrigued me much more. It's no archetypal, no...
Martyn, going back a little way, you mentioned being your own worst critic, if you like, or debunker. Have you endeavoured to find video footage or feed from other sources to compare with yours?
Oh, good one. Thank you. Yes. I did everything. I taped through 2 different cable systems. I taped into direct dishes, and then the most extraordinary discovery of all was I recorded CNN's live feed of a recent shuttle. I think it was STS 86 or 84, one of them, of the docking. And even though I guess a lot of people were looking for the spherical thing that knew about them, I was looking for the third phenomena, because I can see it now, you know, with that, my eye can catch it. And this, to me, would show that it has nothing to do with my machines, and it has nothing to do with the dishes, and this looked like good. And it also was a great chance for me to prove to myself that
what you were saying was really
I believe
there.
that if this is there, it has to be there all the time. It can't not be there and be there. And so I figured I'd take the biggest chance of all. And so I broke down the CNN footage. There they were. And
even on the CNN footage?
Yes. And, well, it's documented, and I don't think CNN even knew what they were seeing. But what stunned me is that was almost, well, how much more do you need, you know? I really did not, I didn't want to come forward with the third phenomena, but then the second space phenomena, until I was able to be absolutely certain that this had some substance to it. I didn't want to lose the second phenomena. I didn't want someone to get diverted on this, shoot it down,
Sure.
and then say, well, that means that incredible spherical phenomena that is I also documented in great abundance. I didn't want that to be dissed.
After you'd collected this material, you mentioned the gentleman at the planetarium that decided that he didn't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Have you spoken to any other? Have you spoken to NASA or any qualified people there that might be prepared to comment on what you've seen?
It's so hard to tell this story, but again, I then met a physicist from California, actually from Topeka Canyon, who used to be a part of a think tank there, red, blue, or blue-green, or something like that.
Sure.
Who cares what it's called? But the fact is, he was very, very interested in the scientific end as well. We stayed away from anyone that was going to have gray aliens and things in it. You know, we were really looking to substantiate it as just there. And he started corresponding with the astrochemistry department at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. And the extraordinary thing about that is that he didn't communicate on my behalf with just that department. He communicated with the head of the astrochemistry department. And I've turned over the documentation which outlines the whole set of email conversations in which at no time does he say that the spherical phenomena is not on the tape. What he does is basically comment accepting the premise.
Do the emails discuss both phenomena or just the spheres?
No, that's the interesting thing. We decided that, you know, that it would be better to continue our work, which is massive. I have massive amounts